to the Details of Life. I'm your host, Marcus Wilson, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me one more time. I sincerely appreciate it. And today, we have a winner who has won everywhere he's been, Coach Kevin Keatts from North Carolina State Wolfpack. Coach Keatts started off at Southwestern Michigan. We talked about his grind, starting at the smaller level, building up, went to Hargrave and to Marshall, back to Hargrave as a head coach where he won 2 national prep titles. Then went on to Louisville where he won a national title there. Then went on to UNC Wilmington and took over a program that had multiple losing seasons in a row, and then won the conference in all 3 of his years there, and has now moved on as the head coach of North Carolina State. So if any of you guys that want to learn how to win and win immediately, I found it fascinating of how he got such success so quickly at UNC Wilmington. And so we talked about that, obviously that national championship run at Louisville, and even now when he came to North Carolina State, they were predicted to finish 12th. Finished 3rd in the ACC, and we all know the high level of quality teams in the ACC. So a lot to talk about here, a great guy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and tune in with Coach Kevin Keatts. Like I just prefaced, ladies and gentlemen, today we have NC State head coach Kevin Keatts. How you doing, Coach?
Marcus, I'm doing good, man, and thanks for having me on.
Man, I appreciate you making the time. It's big time here having you on, and I know a great program that you got going, and a lot of people don't know, a lot of the experiences you've had. So let's kind of start back from the beginning. A lot of times when coaches make it to the mountaintop, and for me, I think the ACC and Big Ten are the elite, really, and so when you get a job in that conference like NC State, people forget that you didn't just fall there, there was a lot of grinding that took place. And so you were at Southwestern Michigan, Hargrave and Marshall and back to Hargrave. And so what was that grind like for 15 years, and what were some of the things that you learned during that time that helped prepare you for this moment?
Marcus, when you start naming all of those schools, you make me feel old a little bit. No, look, every stop that I've had, I've learned something. I did spend 1 year in Michigan, at Southwestern Michigan Junior College, and I realized at that point that I needed to get back down south. I'm not a Midwest guy, and it was pretty cold up there for me, but that experience that I got was wonderful. And then, having the opportunity to go to Hargrave at 2 different stints, I think was great for me. Also worked at Marshall University, which was also a great deal, and I learned so much there. And then I had a chance, obviously, as you know, to work at Louisville. Yeah. And from Louisville, I got an unbelievable break, and I became the head coach at UNC Wilmington, and then certainly now I'm at NC State. I know that sounds like it's long, but some other guys have a longer resume than me, believe it or not.
No, you've been around a little bit, which takes me to my next question about being at Louisville. I had my former college teammate on, and guy you coached with, Kareem Richardson. When he was on, he talked a lot about how detailed and how much Coach Pitino pushes you. He thought that he had been pushed by guys like Royce Waltman and others. And he said Coach Pitino was a whole nother level. So, what was it like coaching up under Coach Pitino? Then also, you won that national title that year. So how has winning that national title helped impact your career as well?
Well, first of all, man, I don't know how you play with Kareem. I've only played pickup, and he wouldn't pass me the basketball, so I stopped playing with him. But we had a tremendous time. When you get a chance to cut the nets down, that's unbelievable. So that speaks for itself. As far as Coach Pitino, he drives you every day to be great. He challenges you, and I learned so much about preparation. How to work hard every day. These are things that I knew coming in, but they were also strengthened by him and, his attention to detail, those type of things, just obviously. And what makes him so special as a Hall of Fame coach is that he allows you to coach. He doesn't put you in a box. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken. All of my assistant coaches have a piece of everything. We recruit, we scout, we develop. And those are things that I learned from Coach Pitino.
To coach under a legend like that and then to win a national title, and that's just instant credibility. If I was playing for you and you won a national title, how could I not listen to what you said? Because that's the ultimate goal. So, man, I'm so happy to see you guys getting that experience. After that, you did go on and get, your head coaching job at UNC Wilmington. And man, I mean, what you did there was phenomenal. Won the conference 2 years in a row, back-to-back coach of the years. But I'm always intrigued by when you take over a school and you're able to have instant success, because a lot of us who have coached, a lot of people are like, man, those first couple of years, wait till I get my guys in.
Right.
How did you go about getting so much? How did you go about having so much success, considering that they hadn't had a winning season in 7 years? Then you go from that to 2 back-to-back titles. What's some of the things that these up-and-coming coaches or guys getting their first job could learn from that you went through?
Well, Marcus, that's a great question, and I'm certainly not the expert at it, but I had success. I think one of the points that you made is I think a lot of people, when they take over jobs, the easy thing to say is that the kids are not your kids. Well, they are. And so what we did is, we talked to those kids who hadn't won in their career there. And we talked about, if you come out and you win your next couple of years, it would change everybody's mindset about what they thought about you. You actually will be a hero in Wilmington and, all over. And so I give those guys credit. My first year, Marcus, we were picked 9th preseason. And the only reason why we wasn't picked 10th is because Elon had just joined the league. And so, we came in and the guys bought into our system. We talked about getting them in great shape. We talked about playing hard. That was the first year I kind of mixed in a little bit of man and zone. And it just took off. And, we won 18 games. And, we were, regular season champs. And then obviously, the second and third year kind of speaks for itself. We ended up winning 25 games and then 29 games, and went from, obviously 9 years before of a lot of losing season to one of the best teams in the CAA and possibly one of the best mid-majors in the country. And so it was rewarding. We came in humble. I hired some guys that hit the ground running. We took a couple of transfers, obviously, in our first couple of years. But I go back to say this. It's the guys that you have in the program that wants to win. And so if you can come in with a system and, of course, our system was a little fun for them. They never had any success, and it just took off.
Obviously it did, man. And I'm amazed by that, because I know how hard it is to come in and not only win, but even before winning, just getting the buy-in from the guys. Like you said, a lot of times even the coaches are like, I'm waiting on my guys. But the players are also thinking, man, this coach he's not the one who recruited me. And so to get that type of buy-in to go and win a championship is phenomenal. And so then you had another transition over to NC State, where you're at now. Again, picked at the bottom part of the league, picked 12th, finished tied for 3rd. Over that summer, when you were making that transition over, what were some of the things that you were thinking about in terms of how are you going to compete? And were you expecting to make that big of a turnaround that quickly, or did things just start to click that year?
Well, Marcus, we kind of took the same blueprint. And, we added a few guys. We added a couple fifth-year guys who were very important to us. And then we had some guys that were in the program who was coming off a tough year. And so when I took the job, I just said, hey, guys, we're going to work extremely hard. We're going to all work everybody. I kind of used the picking 12 as a motivation. And as coaches, we have egos. And so one thing I said to myself is, look, I've never had a team finish 12th. And so I don't want that to happen now. And so I got back and, we just went in the gym and we worked, and some guys actually bought in. And, we're fortunate, because we've started, and I say we because I talk about my staff and the players. Our first 3 years here, we won 20 games. We're one of 7 staffs ever in the ACC to start off with 20 wins. And we're proud of it because we work so hard. And we're not, Marcus, I would tell you this, we're a developing program. I wanted to come in and put my culture in, and that's not talking about anybody else's culture. I think when you talk about culture, people get so tied into you talking about somebody else. Right. Every coach has a culture that they want to develop. And for us, my culture is, guys, I want them to, be extremely locked in academically. I want them to be great ambassadors around the school and in the community. And then you have to just compete hard. You got to play hard. If you don't play hard, you can't play for me. You can be the most talented guy in the world, but I just love for you to play hard. So I give all of the kids that in the last 2 years a lot of credit, and my staff for stepping in and being a really good staff. And it's paid off for a couple of those guys. Two of the guys have, since then became head coaches. A.W. Hamilton is at Eastern Kentucky, and Takeo Sito, who has been with me for at least 6 years, is now the new coach at UNC Wilmington. So our fan base, Marcus, helped. Tremendous fan base. We got great support, and this is a great job and a great place.
It is a great job, man. There's so much talent right there in that North Carolina area, but it's also a lot of competition right there. I'm not going to name any of your competitors, but everybody knows all the people and the schools that are right there. So to be able to attract the talent and to have that much success early on speaks a lot to you, man. I wish that I could somehow – I'm not formulating the question right. I want to figure out what it is that you do that first year to get kids to buy in, because if it was simple, then every time a coach came over, they would have the success you had. So you got something up your sleeve, man. I don't blame you for not sharing it all.
No, I have a little cheat sheet, and my cheat sheet is I'm used to building rosters. I at Hargrave, I was there for 10 years as a head coach, 2 as assistant. And Marcus, we didn't return any guys. So every year we would turn over rosters. All of those guys ended up going to Division I schools. And right. So for me, a lot of coaches will freak out with the landscape of college basketball with guys transferring. For me, I'm used to putting in the system with new guys all the time. And so that's kind of helped me in my first couple of years. And, we just – look, there is no substitution for playing hard. Just because you might not be the most talented team, you may be the most prepared and talented team together. Hardworking team. And so we try to be the most prepared, and we try to outwork everybody, even if our talent is not as good as some of the schools we played against.
Yeah, you're right about that. When I did coach, that was one of my philosophies, is just outcompete the next person. Because when you outcompete the next person, you tend to get more calls from the refs because you're the aggressor. You get the 50-50 balls. When you get the 50-50 balls, you get more points in transition, and things just start clicking, man. So you're right. There is no substitute for that. Looking into next season, Coach, I'm sure you have high expectations, but what are some of your thoughts on next season? Do you have any guys that are transferring in or who are sitting out, or any guys who are on your roster that you expect to have breakout years? What can we look forward to next year?
Well, we got a mixture. I got 5 babies, 5 freshmen that's going into a heck of a league, and it's tough as a freshman. It's going to be a little tough because I've got to bring them along a lot quicker, because normally we would have 8 weeks to work with those guys. But because of the coronavirus, things have been stalled a little bit. But I do have some guys, Devin Daniels, who was our leading returning guard coming back, had a great year last year, averaged almost 13 points a game. He's a senior, has a chance to be really good. I have another young man, Manny Bates, who was a redshirt freshman last year, who led the ACC in shot blocks. And that's pretty doggone good. And then, we have one young man who is still in the, testing the waters, DJ Funderburg, who's 6'10", and can play a little bit 4 and 5. He's got experience at both of those positions. I've got a junior in Jericho Helms, who is from St. Louis, who's going to be a really good basketball player. I like him. And then I've got a shooter from Kentucky who can play 1 and 2. His name is Braxton Beverly, and he's a veteran. And then you add, I had a sit out last year, and Thomas Allen and a few other guys. And I think we got a chance to be really good. But the toughest thing that we're going to have to develop, and we're going to have to develop it real quick, is our chemistry.
Yeah. People want to get to the highest levels, but when you get to the highest levels, you got a lot of guys that they're used to being the man. Right. And then they got to figure out who fits in certain roles moving forward. So, but obviously you've had a lot of experience doing that. And I do want to give a shout out to Jericho. I'm here in St. Louis, and he played for Brad Bill. Yeah, he's a good player, man. I do think he's going to have a great year. And shout out to Brad Bill Elite. Shout out to Frank Bennett over at Chaminade. They've been producing some talent.
Frank's done a good job. Bradley Bill's done an unbelievable job. You think about the players that's come out of that program. He was a kid that was playing some of the best basketball for us early in the year. And then, unfortunately, he took a pretty nasty fall at Wake Forest, and it took him a little bit of time to get back going. But he's what you want in a junior coming up, because he made a big jump from his freshman to sophomore year, and we're hoping he can make a jump from the sophomore to junior year.
No, I think he will, man. So last thing I will say is I always ask this. It's called the details of life. So try to get the details of what makes people successful. And obviously you've had a lot of success throughout your career. So are there any things that you do, any daily habits or routines or kind of self-mantras that you do that you think has contributed to your level of success?
Well, I try to challenge myself every day. I try to be better today than I was yesterday. When I go into a season, Marcus, I almost try to act like I just got hired with the job, like I just got hired, because I think, you have to come in with an open mindset. You have to leave the past in the past. So a lot of times as coaches, we're so mad about what happened in the last 3 or 4 games and of last year. And, we need to get over that. So with me, I always try to get myself and my coaches to have an open mind and act as though you just got hired. You think about guys who just take jobs, their energy is off the chain. And so I want the same energy level that I had year one. I want to be passionate. I'm a student of the game, because I've had so much time, where I could be in the office. I've watched almost all of our games and, talking to my video guys, figuring out how we can add this and we can take away this and how we can be good. And I think that's what makes you special. You cannot stop working. If you stop working, somebody else is going to outwork you, and I don't want that to ever happen for me.
Definitely. I know you may not have seen a lot of my episodes in the past, but I tell you this, almost every coach, there's 2 common denominators. When I ask them this, they say working out and just trying to get better each day. It's amazing how many head coaches do those 2 things, and they contribute to that. A lot of people say something about their faith or whatnot, but those 2 seem to stand out, man. So
Marcus, I don't sleep very well, so I may text you one morning at 4 o'clock. Don't take it personal. I'm just up. I typically get up, man, at 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere in that area, and you either get on a Peloton or get outside and ride my bike or take a long walk. And I've been doing that every day, and it's been therapeutic to me.
Yeah, that's what they say, Max. I know you guys carry a lot of weight on your shoulders, and so getting your day off to a good start, getting a clear mind through a workout helps, man. And before I close out, I will say this, obviously with what's going on in America right now, we're talking about social equity and social justice. I just want to give a shout out to you, Coach, because as we're talking about equity, you being a Black coach and all the experience, all the success you've had, man, don't ever forget all the things you're doing to open up doors for others, because people say, hey, we hired Coach Keatts at UNC Wilmington and hired him at NC State. Look at the success he's had. So I'm rooting for you, brother, man. I'm really proud of you, and thank you for leading the way and being a trailblazer.
Yeah, Marcus, I appreciate it. And, I want to be successful where I'm at, so it gives somebody else another opportunity to be that way. And I appreciate you saying that. And also, man, thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. You're welcome anytime, and I appreciate it. And good luck to you next season, and we'll be in touch with you soon, Coach.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marcus.
All right, my man. Thank you, Coach Keatts, for coming on and making the time. You're welcome back anytime. And like we said, good luck to you next season, and we'll be following. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, again, we have something new next week. Next week, we're going to bring on our first D2 head coach. We're not going to leave out the little guys. D2, those guys play some really good ball as well. And this is another friend of mine that I've been knowing over 25 years, Stan Gerard, head coach of University of Southern Indiana. When I got to Evansville, this dude was the man. I mean, they won the national title in 1995. His nickname was Superman Stan, and justifiably so. He was National Player of the Year. They won the national title, and he's been at University of Indianapolis for the last several years. Also had some stops at Indiana State and some other places, but spent a long time, I think 12 years at University of Indianapolis. And they now finally brought him home as the head coach of Southern Indiana. The whole city of Evansville is excited about it. It's a good thing that he's back home at USI. So we're looking forward to joining Stan next week. So make sure you guys tune in with that. So like I said, guys, we're always bringing in guys from different levels, head coaches, different conferences, D2 coaches, everywhere, because they all know the game. They can all give you some details on how to be successful, because you know what? That's right. Greatness is in the details, guys. Make sure you continue to watch, subscribe, and share. Please keep supporting. Please keep coming back, telling other people about what we're doing, having a blast here. Thank you guys so much. Have a great week. See you. Peace.